Hey guys, my name's Colin and this is my review of the Pegasus 36 trail after 130 kilometers. So 138 kilometers isn't the biggest distance, but as you can tell, I've put the Pegasus 36 trails through the ringer in a short period of time. I've ran in these on the road, river crossings, rocks, mud, wet, grass, everything you can imagine, so I've got a pretty good feel for how these perform in every type of situation. I'll show you here on the screen just a couple of my Strava runs that I've ran in the Peg 36 trails. Alright, so let's get to the review. We'll start off with the traction. So as you can see here, if you're familiar with the Peg 35 or 36s, this has a similar style of outsole, but an increased amount of lug traction here on the bottom and a more rounded heel traction here to handle some of the trails a little bit better. I actually found these to perform really well in basically every condition that I took them on, even the harsh stuff. You just have to be careful around wet roots and rocks and loose ground on some of the trails you might be on. These don't perform the best traction wise in those situations, but I don't necessarily think these are made specifically for those type of trails. I think Nike was kind of aiming for that person that wants to run to the trail on the road and into a trail that's a little less intense. Definitely best for lighter trails and on the road. The durability of the traction seems to be holding up fine so far. I haven't taken it on the road that much, so the rubber is a little less likely to wear down on the trails compared to if you're just running in the road in these all the time. But I did notice one little thing here on my toe box. I just have a little bit of peeling there. Since I've noticed that, it hasn't gotten any worse, so I haven't really touched it, and I'm just gonna leave it for now and hopefully it stays that way. Next up is the cushion. The cushion in this is a full-length Cushlon foam midsole with a Zoom Air unit in the forefoot and the heel. No rock plate in this, so like I said before, you'll have to be careful going over rocks and other rough terrain on the trail because there's not a huge amount of protection underneath. You're just riding on the rubber, the foam, and the Zoom Air units. So cushion wise, the difference between these and the Pegasus 35 and 36s, the Pegasus 36 still has that full-length Cushlon foam midsole, but on top of that they laid a full-length Zoom Air unit compared to this, which has the Zoom Air unit in the forefoot and heel. So in my opinion, these actually feel a little more cushioned compared to the Pegasus 35 and 36s. I'll show you a comparison here of some shoes cut in half. So the top shoe here is the Pegasus 33, the middle one is the Pegasus 34, and the bottom one is the Pegasus 36 with the full-length Zoom Air unit. As you can tell here, the full-length Zoom Air unit is actually fairly thin all the way through. When you go to that full-length Zoom Air in running shoes, Nike seems to thin out that Zoom Air unit and it feels great, but as you can see up top, the Pegasus 33 and 34s, the segmented Zoom Air units are actually thicker than the full-length Zoom Air unit. So the Pegasus 36 is actually a similar cushion setup to the prior Pegasus models. So it has a bit of a thicker Zoom Air unit in the forefoot and heel compared to the regular Pegasus 36. So I think that's the reason why these feel a little more fluffy and cushiony compared to the Pegasus 35s and 36s. All that being said, these are super comfortable. As soon as you slip in, they feel really nice and cushioned. They definitely feel more cushioned than the Pegasus 36 and 35. So these are also a 10mm drop from heel to forefoot. In these newer Nike trail shoes, I don't know if you can see this or not, but you can actually see the +10. So they're letting you know the drop in the shoe. I know for sure that the Terra Kiger 5s have a little +4 on the traction pattern to show that they have that 4mm drop compared to the Pegasus 36's 10mm drop. Moving on to the upper, it's a perforated mesh kind of all the way around the sneaker with some protection here in the heel and some protection here in the forefoot. The lacing system has fly wire all the way through so you can lock yourself in. It has that newer style Nike thin tongue action going on. I don't necessarily like the look of these shorter tongues on all the Nike sneakers, but performance wise they're great. Haven't had an issue with those at all. Just a tad bit of padding in the tongue as well. I did find that these, although they felt breathable, they still seemed a little bit warm. There is a lot of protection up here, so that might just be the reason, but it wasn't anything that bothered me that much. It's just the feet got pretty hot quickly. I did take these through a couple of river crossings. They drained out really well. Like I just stomped down a few times and you could tell the water was getting out of there fairly quickly. The rest of the run, you know, they stayed pretty wet even though it was a fairly hot day, but I think most sneakers sneakers probably do the same thing. When you're crossing through rivers, your feet are probably just gonna be wet. I do kind of wish I went for a darker color. I mean, this color brand new looked really good, but they get dirty super quick. Like first run, they turn a little brown. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much, but just saying, if you want to keep a sneaker looking a little sharper, just go for a darker colorway. Moving on to the fit, these definitely run true to size. I'm a 10.5 in Nike, and they just fit like a glove perfectly. They have a great heel lockdown, and they have a roomier toe box than most other Nike runners, which is really nice. It's not like crazy roomy, but compared to the Pegasus 35 here, even visually, you can tell it's just a little bit wider. One thing I noticed, but I think this is probably more of a personal issue, is I couldn't lace these up super tight. If I laced them tight at all, I would get some pain in the midfoot area. I just loosened the laces up a bit and the problem was solved. The final verdict on the Pegasus 36 trails is these are freaking awesome. Like, I love these. These are so fun to run in, super cushy. They handle most trails really well, but you can also bring them on the road. I like the way they look. They perform really great on lighter trails, and I do think that you can bring these on some tougher trails. You just have to be a little more careful, watching out for rocks and some loose ground where the lack of traction might be a problem, and where the 10mm drop might get in the way of some of the more technical stuff. I've been beating the crap out of these, so I'll probably be grabbing another pair. I have the Terra Kiger 5s on order as well, so I'm really excited to experience something with that low drop. But yeah, I would highly recommend the Pegasus 36 trails. They're awesome. Give them a try. Thanks for checking out my review on the 36 trail, and we'll see you on the next one.